Former witch and current candidate for U.S. Senate Christine O'Donnell could run no more. After weeks of evading any serious questions about what she really believes, the Tea Party Republican finally faced her opponent tonight. Democratic candidate for Senate from Delaware, Christopher Coons, will join me to discuss their debate.
I'm Christine O'Donnell. I'm not a witch.
Former witch Christine O'Donnell, campaigning for Delaware's U.S. Senate seat, wants the jokes to stop.
Just like you, I have to constantly deny that I'm a witch.
It is disgusting that it has even gotten this far.
Yeah, how did that happen?
Companies are crossbreeding humans and animals, mice with fully functioning human brains.
Why aren't monkeys still evolving into humans?
You can't masturbate without lust. I didn't go to Yale.
Now, candidate O'Donnell is facing more extreme statements from her past.
Referred to people who get AIDS as victims. It's that kind of spinning with words, things that we know will not prevent AIDS. Distribute condoms in high schools.
Is candidate O'Donnell starting to sound a little witchy again?
America is now a socialist economy.
The federal government was never designed to be as invasive and intrusive in our daily lives as it is today.
For the first time tonight, she is debating her Democratic opponent.
I'm Chris Coons.
He's intelligent, he's compassionate, he cares about the people.
This November 2nd, vote for Christine O'Donnell, a.k.a. Zoraida the Enchantress, because I'm not a witch.
Good evening from New York. I'm Lawrence O'Donnell. Delaware is now the most watched Senate race in America. Republican Tea Partier Christine O'Donnell versus Democrat Chris Coons. Tonight, the two candidates faced off in a debate for the first time at the University of Delaware. Going into the debate, Chris Coons led Christine O'Donnell in the polls by an average of 19 points, according to Talking Points memo, 56 to 37. The debate played to a packed house. Campus tickets sold out in less than 10 minutes on Monday. University of Delaware students were obviously hoping to have some fun. Christine O'Donnell did not disappoint.
There's been lots of discussion in the national media about things my opponent has said or done that I frankly think are a distraction from the core issues that Delawareans ask both of us about.
You're just
what
jealous that you weren't on
Washington?
Saturday Night Live.
Here now, the one person who is standing between Christine O'Donnell and the United States Senate, Delaware's Newcastle County Executive Chris Coons. Chris Coons, I know every candidate leaves the debate stage beating themselves up over something they should have said. What are you beating yourself up over? What do you wish you had said out there?
Well, Lawrence, thanks for a chance to be on with you this evening. We did have a great and long debate. It was 90 minutes here at the University of Delaware. And I'm frankly leaving the stage wishing that I'd been able to focus more on the issues that really matter to Delawareans, to talk more about job creation, about innovation, about competitiveness. We spent an awful lot of time dealing with the distraction of issues that my opponent, things that she said years ago on late night TV, things that keep coming back to haunt her, frankly, and that I think dogged her in the course of the debate this evening. What I hear up and down the state of Delaware is folks who are interested really in the issues about how we tackle the deficit and debt, how we create jobs and make America competitive again. And Wolf Blitzer did a terrific job, as did Nancy Karabjanian this evening, our two moderators, in holding my opponent accountable for her actions, for her statements, for a lot of things that she's done as a candidate, as well as a TV pundit.
Now, let's go to an issue that came up that is relevant to senators, especially when it comes to voting on confirmations of United States Supreme Court justices and other federal judges, and that is the issue of abortion. Let's listen to what Christine O'Donnell had to say about abortion.
What is your stance on abortion, including in cases of rape and incest?
For you.
I believe that there's been a profound loss of respect for the dignity of human life, and that's reflected in a lot of our policies, whether it's cutting tax exemptions for disabled, low-income citizens in Newcastle County, or with abortion. I respect the human dignity on all levels, the unrepeatable, precious human dignity on all levels. And my opponent and others will use the scare tactic about rape and incest, when that is less than 1% of all abortions performed in America.
Chris Coons, you've spent more time listening to Christine O'Donnell than I have. Can you translate that for us? I think I just heard her say she supports and would insist on opposing any abortion in all cases, including rape and incest. Is that what we heard? She's opposed to any form of abortion, including in cases of rape and incest.
I think that's right, Lawrence, but I don't speak for Christine. It was great to finally have a chance to debate her here less than 3 weeks from the general election. We've had a number of other debates scheduled that she hasn't attended, and a lot of folks here in Delaware have been eager to actually get a chance to ask her questions, to hear her views. She likes to claim that she's matured in her faith and matured in her policy views. But one of the challenges Delawareans face is understanding exactly where she does stand today. We have another debate tomorrow and 2 next week. I'm hoping she'll join us at those debates, and I'm hoping we'll get a chance again to press her on where she stands on these important issues.
Well, she has overnight to prepare herself a little bit better for questions about the Supreme Court. That's what led to her deer-in-the-headlights moment tonight. Let's listen to what happened when she was asked about the Supreme Court.
What opinions of late that have come from our high court do you most object to?
Oh, gosh. Give me a specific one. I'm sorry.
Actually, I can't because I need you to tell me which ones you object to.
I'm very sorry right off the top of my head. I know that there are a lot, but I'll put it up on my website. I promise you.
Now, Tea Party Republicans believe, and they've been saying for decades now, that the United States Supreme Court is wildly legislating from the bench, that the Supreme Court's completely out of control. And here you have the leading Tea Party candidate who can't name a single Supreme Court case off the top of her head that she's got any problem with. Did that surprise you? Did you think you should be ready with something on that?
Lawrence, that surprised me a little bit. But frankly, there were lots of things that my opponent said this evening that surprised me. If I did struggle in one area, it was in focusing my answers on one thing at a time of the many things that she said that were misstatements, mischaracterizations, or just flat-out lies. There were quite a few things said tonight that I frankly look forward to being able to rebut either online or in person tomorrow or the next few times we debate. I would have expected her to be better prepared for this evening's debate.
Now, I want to show you a commercial that they've put out, put out by the Friends of Christine O'Donnell. Let's take a look at this.
In America, where jobs are being lost and wages cut, in Delaware, where the economy is suffering and families are losing their homes, there is one man who stood against the tide and raised taxes. One man who thought that a 911 call should be taxed. One man who thought property taxes should be hiked almost 50%. One man who was county executive drove Newcastle County on the brink of bankruptcy. Hide your will. Hide your lights. 'Cause he's taxing everything out here. Chris Coons is the tax man.
Chris Coons, I got to tell you, other than the spot there where it advocates the crime of tax evasion by hiding your will and avoiding estate taxes, that's got to be one of the best, if not the best, political ads I've ever seen. How much of it is true, and does it even matter at this point with an ad that is that effective in its message?
Lawrence, I don't think that's a particularly effective ad, and it's certainly not a truthful ad. As I tried to address this evening, and I look forward to addressing more tomorrow in our debate at the Wilmington Rotary Club, most of the critical elements of that campaign ad, that nasty personal attack ad, are not true. The most important one is the suggestion that I drove Newcastle County to the edge of bankruptcy. In fact, I've worked very hard over the last 6 years, cutting $130 million in county spending, including taking a pay cut myself for 2 years and making the entire county workforce join me in taking a pay cut for 2 years in order to achieve a bipartisan, balanced solution. Out of 3,000 counties in America, Newcastle County is one of roughly 30 that has a AAA bond rating from all 3 rating agencies. Today, this year, we have a real surplus, and we have more than $100 million in cash reserves. That's a financially strong county, not one that's been driven to the edge of bankruptcy. Ms. O'Donnell's attack ad fundamentally misrepresents the record and the truth.
Now, this ad mentions the idea of you taxing 911 calls. Christine O'Donnell mentioned that in the debate tonight. What's the truth about that?
There is a fee on landlines in Delaware that the General Assembly imposed years ago that helps fund 911 services across our state. All the different municipalities, the local governments that have 911 centers, noticed over many years that the use of cell phones was increasing. The number of calls to 911 centers was increasing, but cell phones don't pay a fee, not for calling the 911 center, but for the convenience, the service of having a cell phone. So a number of us came together and asked the General Assembly if they would stabilize the funding for 911 services by extending the line charge from landlines to cell lines, not a tax on calling the 911 center.
And what do you find when you're out there meeting voters? How much of this stuff is getting through, and how much are they sorting out? What is it that you're finding they really care about? The taxing 911 calls or not taxing 911 calls versus what's going to happen to Social Security, what's going to happen to taxes next year. You are in favor of the Bush tax cuts expiring on some of the brackets, not expiring on others. Christine O'Donnell wants to preserve them on all brackets. Is that tax argument the central argument in a state like Delaware, or is it more the long-term issues involving financing Medicare, Social Security, or is it things like 911 calls?
Lawrence, it's about jobs. What I get asked about over and over is, how are you going to get us back to work? How are you going to make America competitive again? What are you going to do to fight for us in terms of trade and tax and investments that will make it possible for us to sustainably grow our economy and get out of this recession? I support extending the Bush tax cuts, providing tax relief to the overwhelming majority of Americans and to small and medium businesses. But as I said in the debate tonight, the way I'll make decisions about how much more tax relief we can afford, how much we can extend, and also increase the deficit and the debt is going to be by prioritizing those things that have the best chance of getting small and medium-sized businesses to do what they do best, which is create high-quality new jobs. As I mentioned tonight, I've proposed an R&D tax credit, an expansion of the home office tax credit, an expansion of a manufacturing credit tied with the R&D credit. So if you invent it here and make it here, we'll double down on that bet and encourage you to grow even faster. I think we should be looking at all the full menu of possible tax cuts and extensions, reach a bipartisan. We should work together to reach a bipartisan solution in the lame duck session and get America moving again. That's what folks ask me most about, Lawrence.
Chris Coons getting ready for another debate tomorrow. You know she's going to be better tomorrow. She's going to stay up all night. She's going to cram. She's going to have something to say about the Supreme Court. You know she's going to be better, right?
I would hope, but frankly, I'm looking forward to getting a good night's sleep.
All right. Chris Coons, Democratic candidate for Senate from Delaware. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Carl Palladino has been fighting Christine O'Donnell for media attention. Now that he's apologized for his anti-gay remarks, he's got a problem with the Jewish leaders who supported his anti-gay comments in the first place. I'll talk to one of those rabbis coming up. And later, the joy in Chile. We'll talk to Kerry Sanders about the heroic efforts to rescue the trapped miners, all of whom are safe and above ground tonight.